welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. This is Tuesday, May 28th, and a long weekend here. Hopefully you had a good weekend yourself, making some money. I know we sure did over on Dub Club. It's been a good run here since we reformatted things. And again, I think to make the picks a little bit more easier to digest for a newbie, a little bit less confusing, a little bit less, I'm officially playing this B grade or this C grade, but not this A grade, that sort of thing. And just streamlining things. I really like the simplicity of it. And it's what I've long talked about, right? That I'm constantly trying to improve the models. I'm constantly trying to improve what I display. We've got a subtle change here to some of the baseball stuff in the sheet that you'll notice if you're with us over on Dub Club that I'll explain in the write-up over there here as well. Just always trying to tweak things just to make them easier to digest, better, all sorts of things. And we've been doing really well here. The first 5 pick over on Twitter continues to chug along. Probably had some pretty good variance, a little bit of good luck, had a ton of bad luck. Now kind of back on the right track here, but a solid little 5% ROI for those free picks over on Twitter. The play of the day, back to about break even after, again, a really tough couple of weeks. But you look at the last month or so for that, it's been fantastic. You've been following along. It's been performing at the level that we know and love. At the play of the days that I've provided here for years now have done. The parlay of the day is at break even. I think we got one here for Tuesday that I sent out to Dub Club already. Those have been really streaky, which is, I guess, just the way it is. And we're trying to keep it simple with parlays here with just 2 teamers. We're not trying to do anything crazy. We're just trying to help people with some bankroll management on some bigger favorites. There's a lot of days we don't have them because there aren't big favorites that are worth playing. Sometimes we'll take bigger dogs and we'll take bigger favorites. And again, the other A grade plays here, nice little 2% ROI since we switch over to those, that formatting. It's been really good. I cannot encourage you enough to check it out over Dub Club. It'll be worth your money here. You'll be a smarter, better, and I really like where things are going here for the summer baseball. It should be a really profitable summer here for us. And again, the recap here: Friday, Saturday, Sunday since May 6th. Again, not an arbitrary date. That's when we changed the structure up. But folks, look at that here. The first 5s this weekend just crushed. If you're on the first 5s, full games are pretty run of the mill, plus 0.7 units for the full games. But the first 5s for the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, here up over 10 units. We've got a double-digit ROI here on the first 5 B grade totals. The first 5 B grade sides are positive. The full game B grade sides are basically break even here. We already got today a winner on the Nationals, it appears, which should get that pretty much to positive. And then the full game totals of, chugging along positives, just everything looking good. Again, sign up link for Dub Clubs in the show description there. You get the Discord chat, you get more picks, all the A grades, play of the day, summaries, information, details. Cannot tell you enough. Check it out. We're really looking forward here. To June, July, August here, some baseball profitability as people struggle with how to bet baseball. Our expertise with probability here is going to do us a lot of favors, along with a model that is player-based that helps handle for injuries, guys coming in and out. The model can handle that really well. Done a lot of research, a lot of time looking under the hood, trying to figure out what is predictive and what is not, what waterfalls not to chase. And that's the biggest thing about this, trying to figure out what not to chase. I think we did a pretty good job over here. Really like where we're at with baseball. So a quick reminder before we get into the show, going to be an abbreviated show today. Going to cover about half the games. About half of them don't have lines yet. I'm just going to skip over those because if we don't have starting pitchers confirmed, I don't really feel like it's a good use of everyone's time to talk about what might or might not happen. And going to skip out on a couple of games here. Make the show a little bit shorter. Let me know in the comments what you like. The views here are for the show aren't doing great. So again, we appreciate if you like the show. That helps in the algorithm for YouTube. I'm not really sure why, but if you can like the show, if you subscribe to our channel, all those things help us out. But the views haven't been great, so we're gonna try something different and see if maybe a little shorter show speaks to people. I'm just always trying to find what you, the viewer, wants. So I'll react to things like views. But if you have comments about what you like or not, of course, I always like to listen to those as well. So do appreciate your comments and your positive, constructive feedback. I do want to hear your opinion. But again, just some reminders here. Again, pickswiththeprofessor.com/news, the information about the model and community rules, whether subject to change. We are projecting an average game. I do not know what will happen in one single game. I did not expect anything that's happened on Monday to happen exactly like it did, because we cannot predict one game, but on average, we're going to be doing pretty well. And that's what makes anything a good bet at the right price or number, because we have a good idea of what will happen on average. And that makes us understand the long run what we should be doing. But as always, of course, take what you like and leave the rest. There is a day game now because of the doubleheader with the Mets and Dodgers. That's just happened here recently, so don't even know who's pitching in those. Going to skip that doubleheader. I'm going to start here at 6:35 p.m. Eastern with the Red Sox and the Orioles. Low 70s to start, upper 60s to finish. Slight breeze out, but the park and the weather are going to make this play fairly pitcher friendly. Brian Bayo and Grayson Rodriguez. Bayo 4.04 ERA. XFIP 354. That's encouraging. He's been pretty good in years past. Very solid pitcher. So I think gives him a 90 grade. Grayson Rodriguez gets an identical grade, despite having a much better ERA and a good FIP, a little bit higher XFIP. But both these pitchers are very solid. We're really picking nits here about these guys who are strong number 2 pitchers behind, an ace on their team, and so they're not the best guys out there. And that they're not getting that, 70-something grade, or there's a handful of guys in the upper 60s. But they're still very good pitchers, like both of these guys. Offensively, the Orioles have a massive edge. You saw that on Monday. The Red Sox offense has been somewhere between mediocre and below average. Depending on who's in the lineup has really affected that projection, who's hurt. But in general, it's just a subpar offense. Orioles offense is really good, but the Red Sox bullpen's better, whatever that's worth. We've gotten pretty pitcher friendly here at this park over the last few years. I'm not sure the market's completely caught up. I like these pitchers. The best bet, I think, on this game is going to be going under. Right now, the market's at 8.5. I don't love going under 8.5 in general because I hate the fact that 4-4 loses. But I'm going to get over that here because I just like these pitchers, and I really think this total should be 8, maybe even 7.5. I know that the Orioles offense is good, but this Red Sox offense I don't think is good enough, and their bullpen is decent enough that your best bet here for the day on this free show is under 8.5 here. It's -105. It's an A-grade pick there. I didn't change the screenshot out. This is just, I got a little kid at home, and I'm a single parent for a couple of weeks with Mrs. Professor out of town, so forgive me for that. Here's a graphic of what you would get usually. It's the one from last week, so you can check out all the types of good information that you get over on Dub Club, but that's not going to help you for this game. But your A-grade pick for the show, under 8.5. We got to laugh at ourselves here and have a good time here and be entertained, I guess, if nothing else. 6:40 p.m. Eastern, Cardinals and the Reds. Pretty similar weather in Cincinnati as Baltimore. Low 70s to start, upper 60s to close. Slight breeze blowing out, except for the fact that this park is very hitter-friendly, and that's kind of the main difference here. So it's going to be a pretty hitter-friendly atmosphere, as you would expect in this park. Kyle Gibson and Andrew Abbott. Gibson has a nice ERA. The underlying metrics are a little bit higher than that. So far this year, he's been maybe even a little bit better, a tiny bit better than average, but his projection coming into the season, we don't want to completely ignore that. As we approach the All-Star break, you'll hear some of the smartest people in the business who've been doing this even for longer than I have, making these projections, and they'll talk about the fact that when you get to the All-Star break, you should not be weighting the current season by more than 50% of what your overall projection is. So we don't want to overreact. That said, so far he's been a little bit better than average. Model's got him a little below average because we're not just going to use this season data, we're use previous season data as well. Andrew Abbott, I'm thinking this is all fool's gold, people. 268 ERA, that looks beautiful, but his FIP and his XFIP are both in the mid-4s. That's actually worse than he projects. His projection is actually a little bit better than that because I think he's pitched actually a little bit worse this year than I think he is. And you say, how is that possible? The 268 ERA. If you're new with us again, just remember ERA is not the best predictor of what's going to happen going forward. ERA assigns a run to a pitcher or not to a pitcher based off of a fielder, based off location, based off wind, based off park, based off a lot of things. And in reality, most runs are partially the pitcher's fault and partially something else. That's what these underlying metrics help us do. So ERA is a very crude metric. His ERA does look good, but I'm not sure he's that good. I still think he's the better pitcher, but I don't think it's by much. The Cardinals have a huge edge in the bullpen. I don't trust either offense to do anything. And you saw that on Monday in a very low-scoring game in what was pretty hitter-friendly conditions, to be completely honest. We're in pretty much lockstep with this model, or with the market on this one. We've got the Cardinals winning 46% of the time. The market says 47%. One of the rare times we might ever say that the Reds are the smarter pick here. We haven't been on them very much. I'm hesitant to play the Reds on a situation like this, though, because, again, I'm not sure that the market isn't too high on Andrew Abbott. I wish it was the other way around. I wish that he'd been performing. His ERA was high, his early metrics were good, that sort of thing. But looking at it this way, you kind of have to think the Reds might be the smarter play. Unfortunately for right now, the price isn't that good. You're having to lay minus 118. And the model says you're minus 116. So not a ton of value there. And the market and the model both have this total between 9 and 9.5. So again, that's in pretty lockstep with the market. But as always, shop around. Depending on what books you have, different numbers, especially in the moneyline sport. Say 5 cents, save 10 cents. It can be very valuable to you. Makes you more when you win, loses you less when you lose. That can be a big difference. Make sure you have multiple books in your portfolio. If you don't have an account there yet, BetUS is a place you want to check out. Link in the show description. You get 125% bonus on your first ever 3 deposits.
BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook and casino. Live betting and racebook. We're celebrating 30 years with a historic offer. A 125% sign-up bonus on your first 3 deposits. Plus 10% gambler's insurance. Get started today. BetUS, where the game begins.
I'll move us forward here to the Royals and the Twins. I knew it, and I knew we would forget it again here. I did not make the font small enough here for Simeon Richardson. Unfortunately, all good streaks have to come to an end. So again, undefeated for the longest name in baseball, facing Cole Ragans. Folks, this is a fascinating pitching matchup to me. Cole Ragans has just been phenomenal. A guy who did have an inflated ERA early on because of a bad start, but I was here preaching, saying his underlying metrics look really good. I was skeptical from the very start of the season, wanting to make sure that we continue to see what we saw last year before we jumped all in, and that's what we've seen. I was just saying, let's hold on, let's see. But so far, even from the very beginning, his underlying metrics have been fantastic. xFIP of 304. He looks just as good as the hype, and sometimes the hype isn't deserved. Sometimes it is, and with his, it absolutely is going in the right direction. That grade gets better and better every start. He looks really good, and as cousin Jared will often point out, where's the point where the model stops and says we've actually caught up to how good you are. I'm not sure we've hit that with Cole Ragans, to be completely honest yet. Simeon Richardson is a guy I've liked all season. He's had good results. His underlying metrics are a little bit more negative in the results, so I'm not sure he's quite as good as those numbers. I just think there were some times when he was priced pretty well because he was treated as pretty poor. I'm not sure that's going to continue. His ERA is a little bit too good. His FIP's pretty low. His xFIP's a little bit higher. So something has him as a pretty average pitcher, but one we've backed a decent number of times. The Twins will have the edge when he gets to the bullpen, and they'll have the edge on offense. But, of course, the Royals will have the edge with Cole Ragans because this guy is legit. We've got this as a wrong team favorite game, though. We've got the Twins winning this 52% of the time. The market has the Royals winning 53% of the time. The interesting note on this one is just how comfortable are you fading Cole Ragans? And for some people, the answer is I'm not. And I don't think that's crazy at all. So I thought this was a good game to talk about because it's not an official pick here, at least as of now. We'll see if the first 5 market offers us anything, see what the run line comes out. We'll see what is there. But for right now, I'm holding off on this game just because the Twins or the play according to the model. That's where the value is. And I wouldn't disagree with that in that we've talked about this hype on Cole Ragans being so just runaway train. To some extent, he's kind of deserved it, right? I'm not trying to insult that or whatever. If you're a Royals fan, I'm not taking anything away from your boy here. He's really, really good. It's just at some point, it's hard to justify some of the prices on him. But on the other hand, he does like he did last time and outduels maybe the best pitcher in baseball right now, one of the top pitchers in baseball, in Tariq Skubal. You have to consider it a little bit. So I'm pausing on this one, and I'm at least for now looking at this as a game where the model is telling us the Royals are good, the price is too high. I don't really want to fade Cole Ragans, but that doesn't mean I have to play the Twins either. Maybe it's just a good idea to pass. It's kind of the way I'm looking at it for now. We'll see if that changes based off of what else comes out. Total market looks pretty spot on, though, somewhere between 7.5 and 8. Blue Jays and White Sox, upper 50s for this one. So a chilly night, slight breeze blowing out. We're going to play slightly pitcher friendly because of the weather. Kevin Gausman and Mike Clevenger. Gausman, his underlying metrics are just fine. I'm not really concerned about him. You saw that in his last start. He has been a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, and people will talk about maybe potentially the offenses he's faced, but I think the underlying metrics are solid enough that I'm very confident that he's still a very good pitcher. He might not be the best pitcher in the American League, but he still is very good. And he'll be opposed by Mike Clevenger, who I wouldn't say he's not as bad as that 6.75 ERA, but it's not good. His underlying metrics are very bad. He's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. He's just, at this point, in my opinion, the guy the White Sox are throwing out there because they need someone to eat up innings. They're just playing out the string. As an Astros fan, I saw this for many years, where the team's just going out there saying, we've got to play the games, that they're making us, but they're really just looking for draft picks at this point. It's not like there's anything else going. We've got the Blue Jays winning this 67% of the time. The market's at 65%. This is a Blue Jays or pass, and I know for a lot of you who some of you like favorites, that's music to yours. There's just not a lot of value on them at this point, but at least at minus 195, it might be worth a small sprinkle on the Blue Jays. Of course, the benefit to this is that the Blue Jays being the road team, you might look at the run line, the -1. Some form or fashion there is kind of the way I'd be thinking about the Blue Jays, maybe a Monday Night Parlay. We talked about that at the top of the show. So there's a couple of different ways you can look at it. The other option for this is an under. Now, I'm always terrified of an under involving these two bullpens. The Blue Jays bullpen's not good. It's not as bad as the White Sox. But the White Sox bullpen, man, is so bad. So first 5 under might be okay. The downside of that still is the problem that you're going to have here is this Blue Jays offense has been so up and down all season, but they're going to get some runs at some point. You have to imagine. Clevenger's not good, and whatever relievers that come in after that, not good. So the Blue Jays are going to score. The under seems solid because it's hard to see this White Sox team scoring much at all, especially with a cool night. The ball's not really going to fly. So some form of an under, some form of a Blue Jays pick, a couple different ways I think you can play that one. Guardians and the Rockies. Low 70s to start, upper 60s to close. Slight breeze blowing out right now, going to look fairly normal for that park. Run-of-the-mill type Coors game, which means runs can happen in bunches. And we talk about it all the time, high variance situation. So I also want to be careful with our totals in Coors Field. Play them in at half units, or 3/4 units, something like that. Always looking for bigger edges than usual, just because of the fact that you never really know what's going to happen at a park like that. Guardians offense, top 10, solid. Rockies offense, not solid. Guardians bullpen, really good. Rockies bullpen, actually okay. Not their problem. Their problem's their offense. Hasn't been the problem here today on Monday. But in general, they've had a hard time scoring, even in the hitter-friendly environments like Coors or Mexico City for them. And that's where the model projects them to struggle here. Both starting pitchers slightly below average, just McKenzie and Ryan Feltner. McKenzie does have a 3.44 ERA, but his underlying metrics are really concerning in the low 5s. When you see something like that and you put that guy in Coors Field, you just don't know what you're going to get, because Coors Field can be so wonky, can play so differently, can really mess with your stuff. Anything can happen with McKenzie, and I wouldn't be shocked there in the start. He's facing a weak lineup, but other than that, everything kind of points to a concerning start for him. Ryan Feltner, I actually think isn't bad. 5.07 ERA, but his FIP and XFIP around 4. I think he might be one of the better starting pitchers for the Rockies. I think this guy's flying under the radar. I think he's pretty solid. Now, that said, one of the best pitchers for the Rockies is like, a number 3 or number 4 for most teams, right? And still not very good. But I think he's okay. I don't think he's quite as bad as some of those guys. We've got the Guardians winning this 56% of the time. The market says 58%. So we're looking Rockies or pass. And that kind of makes a little bit of sense in a game like this where, like I said, I don't really know what to expect from McKenzie. And I do think that Feltner isn't bad. Rockies have a better home field advantage. They do well at home. The interesting one to me on this one's the total. We've been playing a lot of unders at Coors Field. So this caught my eye. The fact that the model says to go over. But now, again, I want to be careful with overs at Coors Field because you can just see runs in bunches or runs not happen at all. You never really know what you're going to get there. But this might be one of the few times we've had an over at Coors Field. So Rockies are pass, and like I said, this fact that this said over was one I wanted to talk about here. Kind of caught my eye a little bit. Yankees and the Angels, late game here, 9:40 p.m. first pitch. Low 60s start, upper 50s to close. Still chilly in Anaheim. Have not warmed up there yet. Once it warms up there, that park will start playing a little bit more hitter-friendly. Wind blowing out should help offset it. Play pretty neutral, like a pretty normal baseball game here. Nestor Cortez and Griffin Canning. Cortez is very solid. 3.29 ERA, underlying metrics, XFIP's a little bit higher than that. Projects a little bit worse than that, but he's having a very solid season, going in the right direction. You like what you're seeing from him. Griffin Canning, 5.05 ERA, and we talk about ERAs, not necessarily, it's a crude metric. Sometimes crude metrics are fine. In this case, for him, I think it is. Not a very good pitcher. I mean, the Yankees will have an edge here with Cortez. They'll have an edge at offense. Bullpen, again, we talking about it. The model doesn't like the Yankees bullpen. The model really likes the Yankees offense. I'm not saying it's right necessarily, but what I'm telling you that the model's seeing is Yankee Stadium is slightly pitcher friendly. Its park factor is sub 100. if you look at the last 3 years, if you look at this year, if you look at last year, if you look at any frame of reference, it's sub 100. It's been pretty pitcher friendly so far this year. That doesn't mean it will stay that way all season, because it'll warm up a little bit in New York. It's kind of hot there sometimes in the summer, wind blowing out. We'll have some really hitter friendly days. But so far, it's been a bunch of pitcher friendly days there in Yankee Stadium. And so the model's looking at this saying, it's been tough to score there. This Yankees offense is really good for putting up runs there. When the Yankees relievers allow anything there, it's taking it away from them. That's just what it's saying. I'm not saying it's right. Maybe it's overreacting a little bit too much, but that's why the model's not how the Yankees bullpen. But notice, even though there's only 3 spots difference between these rankings, there's a big drop off here right after this Yankees bullpen. This Yankees bullpen is subpar according to the model, but this Angels bullpen is terrible. So more important to look at the rating than the ranking in this one. We've got the Yankees winning this 60% of the time. The Rockies is 61%, so no real value there. But we would have an edge potentially on the over. The market's more in the low 8s or more in the high 8s. Over 8's never the most exciting number. You don't have any of that fun push protection from extra innings. But a 5-3 game, getting the push on something like that could be valuable. And the model thinks the most likely outcome is 9. So if you're looking at this one, maybe an over makes sense. Again, if you believe the model in what it's saying and that the Yankees bullpen isn't that good, the offense is really good, and that the numbers look better for the Yankees bullpen because of the situations they've been in, but it's not that they're that good. Another thing we always look for first 5 anytime the Angels are involved, because their bullpen's so terrible. So that's something to keep an eye on. We'll have all that available on Discord in the morning. That's our show here for today. Again, didn't cover every single game. A little bit of a shorter show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned something, got some good information. This way, if nothing else, I'm not talking about every single game. I won't be saying the same things about every team every day and be like, I just said this yesterday. But otherwise, again, check us out on Dub Club for all the information for all the other games, all the picks, all sorts of benefits there. That link's in the show description. If you haven't checked it out yet, now is the time with baseball heating up. You want to be on board this summer. A lot of money to be made in a bunch of baseball markets where probability and our expertise there can be exploited. So check that out today if you have not yet. Otherwise, so thank you for watching. Best of luck. And remember, you can eat your betting money, but please don't bet your eating money.